What's up, gentlemen? This is Rising Phoenix Podcast, a podcast about how to rise up after your divorce. I'm your host, divorce coach Michael Rhodes. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to the show. This is episode 156. This is obviously a solo episode, and I'm going to talk about a recent experience. That recent experience is what led to me not putting an episode out last week. If you are Facebook friends, you know what I'm about to talk about. But before I get to that, I forgot to do this on the last solo episode. I said I was going to try and start doing it on a regular basis. At least I said that in my mind. I'm not sure if I said it out loud. I want to welcome some new listeners from some new locations. Again, thanks to Buzzsprout's new app. So Cedarburg, Wisconsin, shout out to you. You listened to episode 150, which is a solo one. Disengagement gives power. Shout out also to Watertown, South Dakota. Man, I'd love to talk to you. See what life is like in Watertown, South Dakota. I've never been. Episode 155 is what you listened to, the latest one, which was Slipknot, Self-Worth, and Vulnerability, with Taylor Palmby. Was an awesome guest and an awesome person. Next, shout out to Amelia, Ohio, also episode 155. And this one is weird. Normally, it says a town and then comma, the state. This just says comma, Alabama. So shout out to the entire state of Alabama. I guess, yeah, just all of you. The same episode as the other two, episode 155. So thank you for listening. Hopefully, like I said last time, I think probably 4 or 5 times. Hopefully you stick around and you got something from it, and you found it helpful. So thank you to those folks for joining us. On to the topic at hand. So last Tuesday, I had my first colonoscopy, which is, well, it's quite the experience if you've had one, for a few reasons. So, and I want to talk about this for a few reasons. One, it's incredibly important. Clearly, it is pretty much the best cancer prevention tool we have in our arsenal, so to speak. There's nothing more effective at eliminating a certain type of cancer than a colonoscopy does with colon cancer. That's just a fact. And I've never, so I'm trying to think how I should. Clearly, I don't sit down and like prepare an outline for these solo episodes. I think I've said that many times. I think I'll talk about sort of the anxiety that I experienced in the run up to the procedure. I have never gone under anesthesia in my life. That was a fact that was surprising to every person that was there for the procedure. And shout out to the Veterans Hospital in Lebanon, Pennsylvania. I don't remember anyone's name, but all of them were so amazing. Every single person that walked into that room showed so much compassion and care. I am clearly a person that speaks his mind, so I told everybody when they asked, "How are you?" I said, "I'm fucking nervous." And I'm pretty sure I said fucking because that's what I do. and everybody was great. They were very reassuring. Like I said, the one nurse was shocked that I was had never been knocked out before. I was very nervous, like I said, but they were just super supportive and awesome, and it went well. What I will say is that they discovered 3 polyps, and one of them was considered large. And I've actually seen some literature that said would have been considered a giant polyp. It was 3 centimeters. which doesn't sound very big, but I guess in terms of polyps, it is. So I was a little, of course, I did what you're not supposed to do. I Googled everything about colonoscopies and polyps and sizes and types and all kinds of shit. And I worked myself up to a bit of a frenzy. Frenzy is probably not the right word. I was fucking scared for a little while. I was sure it was gonna, not sure, but I was really worried it was gonna be cancer for whatever reason. Honestly, because of the size. That was why I was so worried. Long story short, I got the results back on Saturday. Yesterday, this is today. It's Sunday the 15th that I'm recording this. Obviously, it will be out on Tuesday. I got the results on Saturday, and I was able to read them and decipher. And again, shout out to the VA. I know people have shit on the VA, but I've never had an issue. The Veterans Administration has taken very good care of me, probably better care than I deserve in some ways, because while I did serve my country, I'm no fucking hero. I never seen combat. I never even left the United States of America, and that wasn't my choice. I would have went wherever the fuck they told me, but sometimes I feel a little a little guilty if I'm being honest. But anyway, the VA has been great, and the medical records were uploaded on Saturday, and I was able to look at them and determine that what I had some fragments. The polyp that was removed, the larger one, had some fragments that were precancerous. Now I know that sounds fucking scary, and if I during my deep dive of excessive Googling and searching, I've learned that precancerous is really not that bad. It could eventually become cancer, obviously, but it it takes a while. And so with it being removed, completely removed, there's no going back in, at least to my knowledge. I got to follow up with the doctor, but from everything that I can gather, even he said probably benign, nothing to really worry about, but we'll know when we get the biopsy. So I have the biopsy, precancerous fragments, precancerous. So I think I'm in the clear. I would imagine I'll have to do another colonoscopy in 3 to 5 years. And those of you that have done it, obviously the prep is the worst part, as they say, and that is true. That fucking sucked. But for me, the going under anesthesia was the scariest thing for me, and it was fine. To if you're like me and you're worried about that part of it, don't worry about it. Obviously, be open and honest. I think because I was vocal about where my head was at, the anesthesiologist was more mindful of what was going on. He injected me with a little bit of propofol, which is the stuff that Michael Jackson died from, which isn't scary at all. Um, but I think he could tell. I mean, he was monitoring obviously my vitals, and I think he could tell my heart rate was probably going up. And he told me to take 2 deep breaths, and I did, and then I just fucking pretty much fell asleep. Like I could see he was starting to inject. He said, "Take 2 deep breaths for me." Not concern in his voice, but a little just like, "It's okay, just 2 deep breaths." And then I did that, and he injected the rest, and I was fucking out. And then I woke up, and the first thing I seen was a hot nurse, and I said as much. I think perhaps offending the nurse that was actually attending to me, that probably got annoyed by me asking, "Where's the pretty one at?" um, but you're a little loopy when you come out off anesthesia. But let me talk. So anyway, so it's all good. And again, let me stress, if you're a man, and I would say for sure, I think they recommend 45. Go at 40. Fuck it. This is life-saving shit. Just go get checked out. This is the one cancer that is easily taken care of. Is easily preventable, I guess. So go do it. Just fucking go do it. It's a little scary, but the results are worth it. Peace of mind is really fucking worth it. So I can't stress enough. Just fucking go get it done. But let me back up, because um it it wasn't just the procedure itself, the anesthesia, the worry, all those things. it wasn't just that. As many of you know, and again, if you're Facebook friends, you know this. I didn't have a ride. So the Lebanon VA is about an hour from me, and so you need someone to be there with you. In that, someone has to take you home. Someone has to drive you home. You can't drive yourself. And I at first I was very annoyed by that fact for a lot of reasons because I felt like it brought up it reminded me that I was all alone and it was going to be a struggle for me to. And by the way, all alone. I'll get to that. It was going to be a struggle to find somebody, and that was difficult to deal with. Coupled with the fear of being knocked out, there was also that feeling or that knowledge that I didn't have a wife that would normally be the one to, you know, take me there and wait for me and be in the waiting room with me and be there when I woke up and then take me home. That um that was tough. It was tough pill to swallow. I'll get a little bit more into the how I felt all in all about that, but just kind of bear with me here. I just want to sort of talk about the struggle to find someone and what happened. And I tell this story because I say all the time, I think those of you that know me know that I am not a religious man. I'm not anti-religion. To each his or her own. But there are things that happen, man, that make me go, huh, well, that's. So here's how I found a ride. First, again, if you're Facebook friends, I posted on Facebook. Hey, I know that, and I'm paraphrasing. I know that it can be. I'm definitely paraphrasing here, so this definitely isn't word for word. But reaching out for help is a good thing, despite shame and embarrassment. And there was a little shame and embarrassment. I didn't have anybody that could take me. So I asked Facebook, hey, can anybody? Obviously, I'll pay for your gas. I'll buy you lunch or dinner, whatever time frame is appropriate. And I got a lot of great responses from a lot of great people that were from hours away. Some of you listening, I'm sure, said that, shout out to Pete. Always shout out to Pete. I feel like I shout out Pete a lot because it's just, man, Pete, you're a good man, and he wasn't the only one. There were others, but he was one of the first that said if I was close, I'd be the first in line, and I wholeheartedly appreciated anybody that commented and said anything like that. Just the mere comment was really exceptional to hear and really appreciated. And I got many messages and I got many comments from all of you out there, and it was definitely appreciated. And my best friend Chris Long, obviously, if you're new, you might not be as familiar, but if you are, then go back and listen to I think it's episodes 30, 31, and 36, maybe something like that. 30 and 31 for sure. I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure about part 3. He obviously said he could do it, but he's going through some stuff, and I was like, dude, you've helped. He always helps me out, and I didn't want to lean on him once again. Not that he would have done it gladly, and I know that, but I wanted someone else, and I had some family that said, I can probably help you out. I had some people, again, listeners from hours away that said, if you can't find anyone, let me know. I'm 4 hours away, but I'll make it down, which is just crazy to me. Amazing, awesome. So the moral of that story is fucking reach out. And I know that that's difficult for us men. We just had a gentleman join the other day in divorce support for men, and I praised him for reaching out. He said, yeah, it was actually really hard. Yeah, it's really hard for us men, for whatever reason. Oh, fucking shit. Sorry. Yeah, also, total rabbit hole, at least a tiny bit. This is a new studio. I don't love it. I'm going to. I love the sign. Fuck, that was one of the things I was gonna do uh, before I signed on because I bought that sign months ago, and I can't remember fucking who I went to. I want to say 46 Fabrication, I think was the name of the company of a guy, an awesome dude who I messaged with back and forth. I sent him the logo. He sent me the design. And you can see it. And I also said, hey, are you able to paint it? And he's like, I don't think so, man. I don't think I have any paint and all this and that. And gosh, it's not 46 Fabrication, is it? Yeah, I gotta go back and look at my I could have swore that was the name of it. Let me go back and look at my Facebook messages. That's terrible. If I wasn't so lazy slash busy, I would it is 46 Fabrication. Okay, cool. I didn't forget. I would what I was gonna say was if I wasn't so lazy, I would go back and edit this to make it look like I didn't forget. But I didn't forget. Just forgot that I remembered. So 46 Fabrication, they're on Facebook. Hit him up. He does all this metal type work. That was laser cut, I believe. I'm not 100% sure. It looks fucking awesome. I love the way it's lit right now. I'm not sure. I kept the guitar. Kind of hard to figure out what fucking way to point. I kept the books, although I don't know if you ever really seen the books. I put those up on a higher shelf, and I grabbed one of the greatest albums of all time, Dark Side of the Moon, and put that on the shelf and moved the shelf around a little bit as well. The paneling is what I'm not loving so much so. It doesn't look bad, but it's not what I had in mind. It's not what I thought. It doesn't look as good as I thought. I bought other paneling. I'm gonna put up a couple of sections of that just to see how it looks before I make any drastic changes. But there's I totally forgot. This is the new studio. There's some lighting changes, shit that you can't see. Obviously, you can now see the microphone. It is the same microphone that I've been using. I just removed the pop filter because this looks fucking cooler. So hopefully there's not a lot of pops that get by now. And there's a new microphone stand. The table that I used previously has been turned around. So now instead of having to write on a stool next to me, I have a notepad right here in front of me. And I can just lean in and write on it, which is pretty fucking nice. Added the accent lights, as you can see. They're not super bright. I mean, they'd be a little brighter, but the lights on me are super bright. I got like a professional big giant fucking light over here, and then the lamp that I've been using is on this side that I used previously. That's also on up and running and pointed at me. And then the white accent lights that are pointing up at the sign there. So anyway, fuck, where was I? So I posted on Facebook. I got some messages and some people that volunteered, and some people that just said, "Man, I feel you. I've been there." And again, it shows the power of reaching out and being vulnerable and being open. Is it a little embarrassing that I'm a 47-year-old man and I didn't have a person to take me? Yes and no. So I want to get into that, but let me get through this little story. And this again is why sometimes I go, maybe there is a dude up there in the sky or wherever watching over me, and obviously then that means all of us. A few weeks ago, I was walking home from lunch, I believe, and I ran into my neighbor. Now, my neighbor has lived across the road from me and I didn't realize this, for 12 years. We're always cordial. We talk every once in a while, just chit chat. Unfortunately, he's a Ravens fan, but that's okay. I forgive him. Go Steelers, by the way, 2-0, although it's not the best looking 2-0, but I'll take it. Anyway, we were talking for just chit chatting again, and for whatever reason we decided to exchange numbers. Just he actually mentioned about he said sometimes he goes to shoot guns and wanted to know if I'd come along. I said, yeah, that'd be cool. I've done it before, but it's been a long time. So we exchanged numbers. And when I reached out on Facebook, I had some messages, and one of those messages, and I think it was Lance, if I want to be accurate. I'm not going to say your last name, my friend. But I do want to give you, yeah, it was Lance. Thanks, Lance, for reaching out, because Lance said, I was in your shoes not too long ago, and I had I had to ask my neighbor. And a couple days before, I still hadn't figured out the ride thing, and I was stressing, and I was mowing my lawn, and it popped in my head, neighbor. And I texted my neighbor that evening and said, "Hey man, I'm really sorry to ask, but can you help me out?" And he said, "Yeah, man, no problem." So that's how I got to my colonoscopy. He did not come in, which also lent itself to a moment of emotion. When I sat down in that waiting room and I was all by myself, it hit me that I was all by myself. And even the run up to that, I kind of knew that in the back of my mind, but it hits home when you're in a hospital waiting room going back for a major procedure and you have nobody with you. Um, I sat with that for a few moments. And here's the important thing I think that you should take away from this, and certainly that I took away from this. It it was hurtful and painful, and I sat with that, and I thought about that, and I got sad about that, and I teared up for sure in that waiting room. And then I asked myself, or I talked to myself in a way that allowed my narrative to be reinforced. Now, what the fuck does that mean? What am I saying? I had this sadness and this feeling around no one is here, and that's hurtful and that's painful. And I was thinking kind of around that. I was thinking, no one's here. It's, I wish someone was here. And then I started asking myself or talking to myself, and this is a testament to the work, because I really didn't consciously think, okay, now I'm going to think about this in a way that's helpful. I just did, and I thought, is that my fault? Is there something wrong with me? Or I went through sort of this exercise of coming up with a story, essentially, again, not conscious. It just came like, and I think that's true of all of us, whenever we're thinking about anything, because we're all egocentric. We just are. Some of us less than others for sure, but we all think the world revolves around us, because it does in a way, right? Everything that happens to me happens inside my fucking head, and to the left of me, to the right of me, in front of me, behind me. It's all about me. All my experiences are mine. So in a lot of ways, the world does fucking revolve around me, right? And so I started thinking about, what does this mean for me? What does this say about me? And it doesn't mean what I know what I didn't do, and I didn't do what I didn't say was I'm nobody loves me. I'm a piece of shit. I'm a fuck up. Um, I don't think I had any of those thoughts. If I did, they were shut down pretty quickly. And I reminded myself that it wasn't my choice to be alone, to end the marriage. It is my choice now to be alone. I'll talk about that a little bit, but it wasn't my choice to end the marriage, a 15-year relationship. And that's important too, because you don't spend that amount of time with someone, and whatever it is, 5 years, and I don't know where the cutoff is. Maybe it's 2 years, maybe a year is a long time. 2 years, 4 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever. That means that there was good in that relationship. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. There was good there, or you wouldn't stay together for that long. So it wasn't all bad. I didn't decide to end it. She did. Okay. So it wasn't my choice. I wasn't alone in that moment because I decided to be alone. I wasn't alone in that moment because I was a complete fucking terrible person. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been with her for 15 fucking years. By the way, like I said, this is all very sort of unconscious, I think, or just lightning fucking quick. These things are just flying through my brain. What I'm trying to say is, I didn't allow the narrative of me to be that I was alone because there was something wrong with me. I, in a very big way, large way, huge way, trying to find the right fucking word. Um, I'm alone because I'm choosing to be right now. Now that doesn't mean that if someone came along that I wouldn't. If someone came along and checked all of my boxes, whatever those fucking boxes are, I would certainly welcome them into my life. Although I do struggle with seeing how that would fucking work. I mean, I don't think we could ever. I think those of us at a certain point in our lives where we have kids and we have a 50-50 custody schedule and we have a job and we have a life, and I don't know how we fit other people in like it used to be. Like I can't get that back. My kids will never be with me 100% of the time with another female in this house. It just will never happen, unless the worst, thing, not the worst. I don't know how I walked myself into that one. Obviously, if my ex-wife died, and I don't wish her to, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if that happened, then I would get back to that. But that's how likely is that? Slim and none. And I don't wish for it. I don't want that for a lot of reasons. For karma, for being a good fucking human, for my kids. That's their mother. So I don't even know how, if someone came along, how I would make it all work again. But I'm sure there's variations that could work, right? I'm sure there are things that or scenarios or whatever, because this person is probably going to have their own kids and all that, and it is a complicated thing. I don't know how it will work, honestly. Be that as it may, no one has come along, and I think I've said this many times. When she first left, I had no standards. No offense to anyone. I hope no one that I dated early on is listening. No offense, but my standards were very low, and so yes, I had companionship immediately. Immediate 3 weeks after, I was intimate and dated many women. I mean, it was probably too many men. It was a lot. My standards were low. I took any crumb. I was like a person that was starving that would have taken any crumb that anyone would have handed to me, and I ate it up. But you get to a certain point where you realize that what you're doing is just band-aiding. It's not really helping. It's not effective in taking care of me. And your and you start feeling good about yourself and better about yourself, and then your standards start to raise. And my standards are pretty high right now. Obviously, you've heard about some females here and there, and I have dated, but I just haven't found that one that clicks and checks enough boxes. So what I'm trying to say is, even if you are alone, I am positive that if you really didn't want to be alone, you could find somebody. I am also positive that somebody won't be the right body. If you understand what I'm saying. Because if you do enough work on yourself, if you raise your self-esteem enough so that when you have a moment where life goes wrong, where you can't find a ride to a really important procedure, that you're not telling yourself you're a piece of shit. That is when when you go through something and you're not beating yourself up, then your self-esteem's at a place where you can invite someone in. But you better fucking believe that because you're at that point, that your standards are going to be high and not everybody's going to clear that fucking hurdle. And that's not a bad thing. This is my point. I think I've said that 3-4 times because I have many points. It's not bad that I was alone. It's lonely and that sucks sometimes. And there were moments of feeling sad and regretful and all those kinds of things that we sometimes feel throughout this process. But the majority of the time, well, first I was able to, if I had any of those thoughts, I was able to stop them and look at them and then change them. And again, this was all very lightning quick and very fast. It's just about doing the fucking work and realizing like, okay, that headspace, I don't want to be there. And I didn't want to sit in that waiting room crying about the situation when I could look at it in a way that it wasn't so bad. Was it sad? Of course it was sad. I honor that. Yes, it's sad. I wish I had someone here, but I don't. Why? Because someone chose to leave the marriage and relationship. And I since have worked on myself so much so that my standards are high enough that no one can clear them to my satisfaction. And there's a whole discussion around that about maybe my standards are too high. And that is a legitimate question, but we're not talking about that today. And that is possible. It is possible that my standards are too high. But you know what? I don't think that's a bad thing. I'd rather them be too high than too low. I'd rather be alone and be okay with being alone than being with someone who isn't right for me. Fuck all that. I'd rather not do that. I'm not going to do that, as a matter of fact. So anyway, it was, this was a test, I think, in a lot of ways of where I am at. I didn't spiral into. I had a bad couple of days before. Or maybe a day before I think I posted on Facebook that I needed a ride on like I want to say it was like a Friday or a Thursday. I think the day before I had some moments of like not feeling so well. And I think I posted on it might have been that day. I don't remember. But it wasn't a long time that I sat with these negative feelings. I sat with them honored. Yeah, it is sad. It hurts. I wish I had someone. Now let's try and make this and view this in a way that's positive for me. And I did that. And so that means I hesitate to say this. I'm I'm really I'm getting really good. I feel like, and at least in this instance, and other instances may come, and I may have a different story and a different outlook. But I'm really getting good at managing my emotions, and that's the key. It's manage. I'll never ever not go through an experience like that and not have moments of feeling bad. That would mean I was a fucking psychopath, and I'm pretty sure I'm not. So I have feelings, and I felt them, but I didn't let them control me. I managed them. I didn't control them, but I managed them, because if I could control them, I just stop them and it would never happen, right? But that's not possible. They're going to come. These emotions and these feelings and these events, these things are going to bring things up. And how do we manage them? How do we deal with them? That's the fucking key. That's the work. And I feel like, again, in this instance, and I could be challenged in other ways. I'm sure I will be challenged in other ways. And sometimes I'll take steps back, but that's okay, because the work is not about getting to perfect. It's not about never feeling bad or having a bad day or a bad moment or viewing this and this event, this divorce shit in a hurtful way. It's not what it's about. It's about whatever you do feel, you manage it in a way that is to your benefit. And that's exactly what I fucking did. Like, I'm incredibly proud of me, quite honestly. And that's not fucking normally something I would say. But I'm not only because there's so many things I'm proud about. One, I felt the feelings and I sat with them, and I wrestled with them, and then, as Brene Brown says, I rumbled with them, and I came to some good conclusions, and I reached out for help, and I went and faced the fear. I was deathly afraid of sitting and of being knocked out and going under anesthesia. I've never done that before in my life. I was so fucking scared, but I fucking did it. And the results are I helped myself stay as healthy as I can, or whatever. I don't know how to exactly word that. I mean, I took a positive step for my health. I got something removed from my body that clearly wasn't good for it, and would have eventually potentially led to cancer. And I got rid of that shit. And now I've done it. And if I have to do another one, which I will, probably 3 to 5 years, and I'll fucking go do it. I'm not saying I won't be scared. I still probably will be, but I have that comfort of experience, that confidence of experience. So anyway, I think that's all I got for this one. Again, to all of you that listen, I sincerely appreciate it. I don't, it's a very weird thing for me to put this stuff out there and see all these listens and these different people in these different towns and some comments and it's just, it's very strange. It is appreciated, and I hope with all of my being that I'm helping. I know that I am, but I really hope I am helping you that's listening right now. I hope that I have, and I hope that I can, that's all that I fucking care about. I just want to help as many people as I can get through something that is incredibly difficult, but not impossible. Until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. Thank you so much for watching and or listening. Since my separation in July of 2019, I have done an incredible amount of work on myself. I've had many different therapists, life coaches, and went through different programs. I've taken all that I've learned and put it into my own program called Forged by Fire. If you are interested in having me help you navigate your divorce, please hit my website, risingphoenixdivorcecoach.com. I look forward to working with you.